I'm not up to that
Hey
just
guys,
yet.
so today I would like to talk about the build I'm currently playing and working on. This is for Path of Exile 320, the Sanctum League. But basically, why I want to share this video is because I created a league starter. But the league starter I created was mainly to focus on the Toxic Rain build. But I must admit, I was very much inspired by the YouTuber Snoopy. I think he has inspired some of my equipment settings, pretty much what he has been playing with, and I try to replicate some of his gear setups, and I find it really helpful, and it's also carried me to many uh, tier maps, right? But the idea here, what is that uh, if we are if we are actually able to carry all the way to map T16 with the minimum amount being spent on your character, because it's league start and not all of us are rich. If you can see here, I have very minimum amount of currencies in my tab. Uh, so yeah, I would like to share the build itself. Uh, I believe the other YouTuber called Snoobe. I probably link his videos below. But he has been working on another character. Probably it's a Juggernaut, but the Ascendency I chose to go with is the Pathfinder. Uh, well, uh, to start playing with the Pathfinder itself, I think the reason why I started a Pathfinder is because I love Deadeye so much in previous leagues. I used to play a Tornado Shot Deadeye, and I find it really powerful. But the idea here is that I wanted something more tankier. And looking back at some of the other guides out there, and it seems like the Pathfinder Ascendancy was the way to go. But I will get back to the Ascendancy itself. But I just wanted to show you a showcase of what my build does. It's basically just spamming Toxic Rain, dropping down totems, and letting your totem spam it. Um, so I will straight run through to my gear setup first. If for your information, the current setup actually costs around it will not exceed two divines, but I think most of them are pretty cheap. Especially this armor, I got it on the second day of the league. There are a couple of chaos, uh, but yeah, it's pretty cheap and it's a decent league starter. But I'll just start off with the build itself. So I am running Toxic Rain, if you can see here, and it's pretty much supported by all the usual gem setups, right? Like Mirage Archer support, Efficacy support, Vicious Projectile, Void Manipulation, and also faster attack. I'll probably replace this faster attack eventually with an Empower support to get more skill level, but I will explain to you in a while on why skill level matters in this case. And yeah, the other ones are basic aura and defensive aura. I'm running determination, malevolence is for my damage aura. As you can see, it's focused on damage over time, and toxic rain is pretty much dependent on its damage over time as well. Um, so and then I have this ballista totem set up in my chest. Although it's just four links, but it could be better. But I just don't want to find another armor um, which has more links. But just because I want to use this current armor I'm using, which is the Derasos Defiance. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I'm running. The other ones are Blood Rage, Immortal Call, Flame Dash, Second Wind Support, and Portal Custom that. Right, so it's a basic setup,
I'm not up to
but
that just yet.
it allows me to be mobile, to be fast, and whenever I die, I'm able to cast a portal and I get back to where I died uh, instantly. Um, so a bit on the gear itself. I think the gear itself we would need to focus on certain elements of the gears. What I did not mean as the fire element or the chaos element necessarily, but what we are looking forward to is pretty much just kill gem levels, right? And the idea here is because toxic rain scales on the skill gem level, and I kind of YOLO'd while my toxic rain I was able to get level 21, although I could have increased its quality, but this works for now. So if you can see, my gears are pretty basic. For my bow itself, I kind of would want to focus on the level of socketed bow gems. I could potentially uh, try to get the plus two levels socketed bow gems, and the other one is plus one to socketed gems. But the idea here was to get as many levels to scale on your toxic rain damage. And if you can see here, it affects every gem, so it's a really good, and it works really well. Uh, so for my weapon itself, I kind of bought the porcupine card, converted it to a second uh, to a six-link short bow, and what I did was I spammed some essences to get the plus two socketed bow gems. It's pretty cheap. It really, honestly, at this point of time, you could probably get 20 or 30, get a similar piece for 20 or 30 chaos. Probably the plus three one will be much more expensive, but this works for now. Um, and the reason why I would say it's a good league starter with this kind of setup is because this we did not need a specific set of items to make this build work. We only needed a, a an affordable type of weapon, which is something we could get in early league and scale your damage as much as possible to farm higher tier maps, right? And as we know, the Deagle very much inspired by the Snoopy itself. It has been really helpful on 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 pushing us to be able to carry up to T16 maps. I think it's pretty OP for league starts, uh, because it kind of helps you a whole lot. Um, and next thing I want to talk about is the armor. uh, Darius's Defiance, well, and inspiration from Snoopy as well, but I would really agree to why it's a very good armor, and it kind of helps me a lot in my build. Is because of the endurance charges, and also the onslaught mods, right? That you gain onslaught for 5 seconds per endurance charge when hit. So it really matters to us because in toxic rain, if you can see, uh, without I kind of faced issues with my attack speed earlier, and I could use more of an attack speed earlier. But the fact that I would get an 100% effect of onslaught on me, what onslaught does, it pretty much, let me just get to the let me just show you guys one example. Onslaught, right? Okay, so what onslaught does is, um, it gives you 20% increased attack, cast, and movement speed. So 20% is the base of what it does, but having this defiance, there is a define, it gives me 100% effect of onslaught on. So in that case, I would get 40% of onslaught effect. uh, so the idea here is that for me to scale on the onslaught buff as much as I can to gain this attack speed and also the movement speed. And I will show you guys a demo of how the build works later on and how fast it is. But it's a super cheap build with such consistent outcome, right? And I think I find it really great. But besides than those, just the another way you could scale up on your level for gems is by using an amulet similar to like this. What it does, it gives me plus one level of all chaos skill gems, and toxic rain is a chaos skill gem. So it boosts us up toxic rain level as well. And I got this amulet pretty cheap. Probably you could get one much cheaper. Uh, but when I bought it, it was around 20 chaos. Probably got lucky, but it had all the mods that I needed exactly. So the only thing that matters to me is having +1 level of all chaos skill gems, good, some really decent amount of attributes because we are lacking on attributes. So my disc amulet itself was able to give me a whole lot of them to support all other gears. And also the mod where non-channeling skills have minus total mana cost is very important as well because we kind of face mana issues. But as long as I was able to get +1 level of all chaos gems, non-channeling, and a bit of attribute to support my gears, then I felt pretty good using this. Additionally, it gives me armor as well, but it's really good since I'm running determination. But uh, either way, others will depend on your situation. So the main point here is we're scaling off all our chaos skill gems. Great. So now we have Toxic Rain at level 24. Once upgrading to the +3 weapon, I will get it level 25. So basically, most damage is scaled by the level. Great. So we understand that. And the other setup I was trying to run is I also found these really solid gloves. I was looking for something with chaos damage over time and some attack speed, but I was able to buy these off from the exchange for around 20 chaos, and I find it really good because it gives me some attributes as well, which I was missing. Strength, the chaos damage to damage over time, which is T2, 15%. Is actually pretty decent at at this stage of this league, right? And I get some decent amount of attack speed, and also the one thing that caught my eye is me getting 10% chance to intimidate enemies for 4 seconds. So basically, what intimidate does is it hits enemy 10% with 10% more damage of your overall damage. So it's just scaling damage and some life in it. So it's a very important element of this build as well. If you can see here, I've been just trying to get chaos damage over time multipliers, some attack speed, and some life and some decent attributes. That's something to support me. But besides than that, all other gears are pretty basic. I'm just trying to keep my resistance as much to make sure that 75. It's not really 75 because the Flask is by it's automatically running, but I'll try to sustain all my resistance to 75. The rings, like I mentioned, mana cost deduction and also a lot of resistance. I have these two pretty solid rings with good tier of resistance, but I kind of am missing life. I could craft from them, but the mana cost mods are much better off for now. So I kind of try to keep as much resistance I can in these rings, with some chaos of resistance um, with the base of providing as an implicit, if you can see here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I kind of stack all I needed the attributes. Another way I was actually working with this build was to use the Maloney's mechanism. The idea, this quiver actually allows me to trigger a socketed bow jam whenever I cast any skill. So the setup I have over here is running Rain of Arrows, which I will trigger automatically, and hex starts hex hex starts support so that it casts the curse on the enemy once Rain of Arrow hits, and the curse I'm using is Despair. It's because we are a Chaos Elemental build, and we would need to deduct the enemy's resistance as much as we can. So I'm using Despair. Has worked out pretty solid. I see most of the builds out there they use a rare quiver with solid stats, but I think this seems pretty helpful for now, especially with the extra attack speed and chance to blind enemies. It only means that we can survive longer with the ability to blind enemies. But you guys could actually move forward and move and try another setup, but using a similar approach to what I'm currently working on. uh, I want to show you
Another
guys
to
an
that biscuit.
example of the how I would run T16s at this stage of time. I'll just alchemy. I'll just opt out alchemy and just go. Uh, I'm trying to finish my current atlas right now, but I'm having some problems sustaining maps. But yeah, I just want to show you guys a showcase of how fast this build is able to create to clear maps. So in map, I would probably just ready on my two auras, determination and malevolence. I would just uh, cast my chain golem because it gives me 10%. I think it's around 10% attack speed. Okay, it's a lightning golem, 9 to 9% attack speed. So I'll cast blood rage. My speed pod is on, and then I'll just. And if you can see, I'm getting these shrines along the way because of my Golem, and the shrines could actually vary between a lot of buffs, and it's really super nice to play. See, I'm super fast as well. More shrines for me. You can see there's no issues at all running, clearing this map. I probably face some issues with these specific map bosses because it's really annoying. I have to fight 3 of them. But as you can see, if we are just mapping, trying to clear stuff, it works super well with less than 2 divines. Investment, I think it's working really solid. And I get more buffs. Clear faster. Let's just clear even more. Solid league start. It's because I'm pretty surprised, right? Because I used to play as a nether shot build and kind of felt that it was taking a whole lot of me to be able to sustain T16 and try to carry myself up. But this build it has been really smooth, right? Just clearing maps. Wait, okay, we can try to clear the boss. We don't take too much time, but I'll explain to you why this boss is much more harder. But we are doing slightly fine. But there are more bosses to come, but we can actually see how decent it does against boss damage. I could work on the issue here is that there are get more shrines. Great, doing pretty well. Let's clear them off, and this is a speed buff which I'm getting for my goal as well. Boss hurt. Let's clear it off. Great, and I'm done. Well, if you guys have played this map at T16, you kinda understand that 3 bosses were kinda annoying, anyways. But yeah, so that's the build, and it's a really decent league starter. I'll just share a bit on the skill tree itself. The Ascendency is Pathfinder, but basically what we're trying to achieve with the Ascendency itself is to make sure that we're buffing on our Flask use, and increasing its duration, increases its effect. And if you can see here, the first Ascendancy I took was Nature Reprisal. Well, this was basically to get more DPS and chaos damage at the start while I was running lower tier maps, trying to push as much as I can. Then I ran Nature's Adrenaline. It's pretty much buffing on movement speed and increase attack speed during Flask effect. And that's why you kind of saying that the character itself is super fast because of its ascendancy itself. And eventually I went into Master Surgeon. So what Master Surgeon does, it gives you the remove bleeding and corrupted blood. Of course, that's not the most important thing, but the most important thing was um, gaining a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. And we're just regenerating the flash charges. And also whenever we use any of our flash over here, we actually gain recover 6% life when you use a flask. So it's when I have this flask, mods as used when charge reaches full. So whenever I refill and I reuse the flask itself, I would automatically recover 6% of my life when you use a flask. And 6% uh, over around 4,000 is that probably there's like what 500 HP every time I heal. And yeah, I mean not 500, probably 200, but apologies for my math failure. But you could just calculate that yourself. And then eventually I moved into Nature's Boon. But I must admit I could have taken this Nature's Boon much earlier when I was ascending my ascendancies. But I kind of took this last. But I really think that this is a solid uh, ascendance ascendancy skill point to be used, because whenever we're reusing flask all the time, and especially when we're healing, whenever we're using a flask. But so I have 20% chance of flask of me or whatever I've used to not consume charges. So there's like super a lot of healing ongoing and just constant buffing on the character using this flask. And 20% and flask gain 3 charges every 3 seconds. So we don't have to only kill mobs in order for us to recharge um, this flask. If you can see here, they are automatically being refilled. uh, for the skill tree itself, I kind of use most of the nodes I would use as generally a Deadeye. Try to get more attack speed and maximum life. Uh, and if you can see here, mostly I focus on attack speed. At below of the tree, I kind of focus on quick step and getting intuition for the suppress spell damage and maximum life. But pretty much focus on attack speed modes. And then eventually I moved into a bit of life. And then I got some modes like Farsight to increase attack speed as well, damage over time with both skills. And then I moved on to getting more life. But that's the below part of the tree. If you can see here, I run herbalism, Farsight, and thick skin, mostly to get all the enough HP that I need. And I'm trying to boost HP. If you can see here, I don't have any HP crafted, maximum life crafted in my rings and my amulet, but I'm still reaching close to 4,000 HP with such decent DPS. I mean, it's pretty decent early league build. Um, for the right side, I try to get more attack speed and projectile speed. Probably this could be replaced eventually. I plan to replace the skill points, but it's just early level attack speed and damage. Then I started running Charisma. No idea why I would use it for now, because I'm just currently running 2 auras. Uh, I probably would need to set up my, I don't know, auras eventually, but for now I think I'll work and grind with the existing setup. But I could remove this for now, but let's just put that because eventually it'll be useful to us. Getting charisma, and then try to get more maximum life and suppress to spell damage, and eventually try to reach out to the higher nodes where we get chaos damage time overtime multiplier, which is wasting node. Get more attack speed, get damage over time, and all the way uh, to more damage over time multiplier, growth and decay. Uh, all damage over time multiplier go into more life, and eventually reach to atrophy, uh, where we're getting a boost of increased chaos damage a whole lot of them, and we get a whole lot of chaos damage multiplier, and we're trying to stack as much of damage, chaos damage over time multiplier, damage over time multiplier. Those nodes are needed in order for us to scale toxic rain. But yeah, so that is pretty much the how the build kind of works. I think the most important thing is to know how to play around your flaws. Try to fill out whatever you're missing for the early league, right? So if you can see here, I'm only at 50% suppression, and my resistance aren't caping now. So I'm currently using a quartz flask. I get more suppressed spell damage, and you see, if you can see here, the more duration, which kind of is super helpful. And because of how much our flask are regenning, and how long it lasts, lasting 7 seconds. That's pretty much unlimited flask if you're just running a map full of things. um, but yeah, so I try to fill in the gaps wherever I can. I could potentially have better gears, but this is currently what I'm working on. The boots, I got pretty lucky as well. Like hitting the implicit modes. I think I kind of used just a couple of them, two eldritch each, and I was able to, honestly, I was able to get those implicits without spending a whole lot. And this was a drop. I think it gives me whatever attributes and chaos risk, and decent movement speed. So but yeah, that is pretty much the build itself. I You probably would want to know more. I mean, if you needed
I'm
a
not a threat
complete
just
guide
yet.
on what exactly could be helpful to you guys to run something like this, I could just leave it in the comment. But it's not really a complex character. If you have been playing POE for some time now, you don't need to be super good at it, but this build would work for you for now. And the idea here is that if we can go through T16s and grind our way up with such minimal investment, then we could be farming to work on this character, or even to work on another character which you would like to prefer more. And that is the importance of a league starter, right? We should be able to carry ourselves with minimal effort, so that we can push as much as we can. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But besides then, the common modifiers that we were looking for: gem level, skill level to socketed gems, attack speed, chaos damage or multiplier. That would actually pretty much give this build a whole lot of DPS in order for you to be carrying yourself up to higher tier maps. But yeah, that is pretty much it. um, I hope I was able to explain it enough for you guys, but I'll be more than willing to help out you guys if you guys are facing any sort of issues. But thank you very much.